Welcome to the podcast of Missionaries of the Precious Blood, United States Province, where we delve into the heart of our organization's mission and values. Missionaries of the Precious Blood, founded in 1815 by St. Gaspar de Buffalo, is a Catholic religious congregation dedicated to spreading God's love and mercy through prayer, community, and service. Our podcast serves as a platform to share the stories, reflections, and insights of our members as they strive to live out the charism of reconciliation and redemption. Tune in, be inspired, and become part of our mission to make God's love known to all. Welcome to the podcast of the Missionaries of the Precious Blood. My name is Patrick Higgins. I'm the Executive Director for the congregation, and our very special guest today is Father Emanuele Lupi, who is the Moderator General of the entire congregation. He is headquarters in Rome, and Father Lupi has a special purview of the order. As I indicated, he is, for lack of a better term, the top dog. He oversees the entire order. So, Father Lupi, welcome.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Good morning to you, and thank you for this invitation to join you this morning.
Absolutely, and thank you for being our guest. Father, I'm going to start with a kind of a very general question. Can you tell us what you're the Moderator General for the entire congregation? So can you kind of give us an overview of that role and what it entails?
The role of the Moderator General is already spelled out in the statutes, the general statutes of the Missionaries of the Precious Blood in our constitutions. The priority of the Moderator General is to be the center of the congregation in order to keep the congregation united worldwide in the different countries where we are, putting together the different culture and try to summarize all our differences which are around the world, and then to take care of the growth of the congregation as well as to represent the congregation to the Holy See, but also in front of the worldwide church.
And Father, how long have you been Moderator General?
I was elected in September 2013, so it is almost 6 years.
Wow. Okay. So, Father, let me ask you. You've obviously give us a bit of your journey as a priest. What was your role before you were elected Moderator General?
Before I was elected the Moderator General, I was the Vice Moderator General for 6 years, 2013-2019. And before becoming Vice Moderator General, I was missionary 5 years in Peru, 2 years in Tanzania, then I was working for 2 years in India, and for some times I've been working in the General Archives in Rome as a member of the General Curia, even though I was not a General Counselor at that time.
Okay, so Father, you've obviously done missionary work all over the world, and I'm sure you have all kinds of examples of the impact of the congregation's spirituality, but what gives you hope? As a spiritual leader, what gives you hope in today's world?
What gives me hope is that God is with us, He loves us, and He wants us to join Him. They may sound simple words, but for me are very important words because we cannot lose the hope in this. And whatever I saw around the congregation worldwide, whatever I see in the church worldwide, I think that there are many seeds of hope and many seeds of good things which we are doing as a church and as a congregation.
Tell us about some of those good things that the missionaries are doing as a church and a congregation. For instance, how do the missionaries offer hope to people in this time of global crisis or global uncertainty?
But first of all, the presence in those areas where through our preaching, through the spirituality of the blood of Jesus, which we try to promote by living our lives and by giving our homilies and preachings. And I think wherever there is a need, a missionary of the precious blood is there. Whether in a jail, whether in a parish, could be in a reconciliation center like the reconciliation center here in Chicago, but also in the middle of nowhere in Tanzania, where there is the St. Gaspar Hospital, in an area where nobody else is there present, but still the hospital of St. Gaspar is there. So, as I see, we can be in cities as well as in the countryside, but we have concrete ministries which we are able to carry on, thanking our benefactors, thanking all those who work with us, who partner with us to collaborate in this ministry, because the missionaries of the precious blood, we are who we are also because of the many people who are around us and together with us, like, for example, our lay associates. I only think here in the United States, the companions, for example, and the wonderful work which we do together.
And can you tell us a little bit how that I guess program, for lack of a better term, how did the role of companions come about? I know it's probably a very unique role within the congregation, but it's a unique role within within the auspices of the church. Not many orders have what are called companions. So can you kind of explain to our listeners what a Missionaries of the Precious Blood companion does and how that originated?
Yeah, just last night I had a meeting with a group of companions, and I said to them, we are who we are because you are with us. What I mean is that the same presence, the same sharing, the spirituality reminds us that we belong to the same people of God. And for me, it's very important the ministry of the presence and the ministry of being together, because before doing something, we are someone. And the presence of the companions, the lay branch, let us say, of the family of the precious blood, where we are the priestly branch, the consecrated life branch, really makes us being one family. And then in the several details of the ministries where we can be. So I'm learning that now in my visitation in the United States. But as I said, the same presence, the same sharing the spirituality from a different perspectives, I feel that it makes me a better priest, a better missionary of the precious blood.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Father. So along that line, can you share an experience where you saw God's hope at work in your ministry?
As I said, I saw God at work in my ministry, for example, when I was in Tanzania, in the St. Gaspar Hospital, giving health and life in a place where nobody else is there. I saw the intervention of God through the ministry when I was living in Peru, for example, on the mountains, on the Sierra, where our missionaries were there, very faithful and committed to the mission. I saw the signs of hope and presence of God, for example, in Poland, where we have a nursing home where people go basically to die because of cancer, and the presence of the missionaries of the precious blood is there. I listed already the Reconciliation Center in Chicago. So, as you can see, we really touch the different stages, we really touch the different environments where people live. And this presence, which probably is not so huge because you are not a big congregation, we are not a big community worldwide, but I think the importance is the commitment and the strength which is there.
You know, it's probably no secret that young people are kind of disillusioned with the church, not just the Catholic Church, but with religion all over the world. What can you tell young people? What hope can you give young people, those who have been disillusioned by organized religion or religious institutions? How can they rediscover hope through faith? Because there is hope through faith. So how can young people who are disillusioned discover that hope?
In my experience, I see that the question about God, the question about the spirituality is there. The problem is that we as a church, we needed to change the way we present ourselves. religion is not a set of restrictions, but unfortunately, people may think of that. Religion,
Yes.
sometimes we have talked about religion as rules, obligations, instead of talking about life, happiness. That is why also Pope Francis was always repeating about the joy of the gospel, the joy of the announcing the gospel, the smiling faces, the presence among the youth. I think we have something important to communicate, which is the love of God, which has been shared with us through His blood. It is the language that needs to be somehow reshaped. And this is a challenge for us, as well as to enter in dialogue with certain sectors of the church and certain areas of the society, because unfortunately, instead of looking at dialogue, sometimes, especially in the past years, we were more discussing or even fighting instead of having a dialogue.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you really said it well when I think you said young people see religion as a list of rules and regulations that they have to follow or else. And that's not true at all. I think it's listening. It is being in tune with your congregation. It is truly listening through to the gospel, not through the lens of you can't do this and you can't do that, but in terms of the hope that it gives. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. It is all about that because, as I said, love is not a restriction. The rule of the love is the love itself. And now we have an Augustinian Pope, and Saint Augustine would say that we measure the love in the way we love. That means that the love is the measure itself, and we know that the love is eternal, without end, because God is love. The synonym of the word God is love. So this is, I think, the important message which we need to rediscover for ourselves, but also to be spread around us.
Well, since you brought it up, the new Pope, Pope Leo XIV, can you give us some of your impression? Number one, have you met him? I assume you haven't met him because since he's been Pope, because you've been here in the United States. But do you know him, or did you have any kind of relationship with him prior to his election as Pope?
The only time I met the Pope was when he was a cardinal. He was in charge of the dicastery of the bishops, which is the Vatican department that appoints the new bishops and other duties in that field. And we met for a mass at the meeting of the Union of the Superior Generals. And it was a very funny moment because he has been working in Peru for many years, and I was also missionary in Peru. So I remember when I met him, I said, "Your Eminence," first of all, when he looked at me, he said, "You come from the Missionaries of the Precious Blood. I know your brothers in the United States
Yes.
because he was a student at the CTU and he studied together with the several members of our congregation." But then when I said, "Your Eminence, both of us have been missionaries in Peru, both of us we love the same land, Peru," and I said, "I suspect that both of us will love ceviche, which is a Peruvian dish. It is raw fish." And Cardinal Prevost at that time was smiling and he said, "Yes, we love, we have many loves in common because of the country where we worked and the food which we loved, and of course the people." And it was, I really almost cried when he was speaking directly to the people of the Diocese of Chiclayo. Was the only Spanish moment at that time in the middle of the solemnity and the Italian talk which he gave, and it was very cute, was very sweet from his side to speak in Spanish directly to his people there in Chiclayo. And then I saw some images from Chiclayo. There were thousands of people in the square celebrating because their bishop has become pope.
Oh, yes, absolutely, yeah. So when you mentioned CTU, that he studied at CTU, which is Catholic Theological Union in Chicago. That's where the Pope studied, and he studied with several members of our congregation. Correct?
Yes, yes. Actually, some few days before the election, before the conclave, I was at the Catholic Theological Union for a dinner. They had a Justice and Peace uh,
Yes.
dinner, and I was at the table with some of our members, and we were just chatting, thinking who will be the next pope and so on. Somehow, I don't know why, uh, I was thinking of Cardinal Parolin, okay, because he's Italian. I was thinking about Cardinal Tagle because, but then somehow in my mind I was having the name of Cardinal Prevost also. So
Really? Okay.
I shared that during the dinner at our table, and then I said, "What about if Cardinal Prevost will be elected the Pope for the Catholic Theological Union? Will be something amazing because." For me, coming, for example, from the Gregorian University in Rome, it is not a news to have a pope who studied at the Gregorian University because many popes studied at the Gregorian University. But from Chicago, from the Catholic Theological Union, a former student, I
Right.
think this is really amazing.
It is amazing. Obviously, he's the first American president. What do you make of that, or what's been the reaction within the church among your contemporaries that we have an American pope?
I think he did very well when he showed up at the loggia and he said, "The peace be with you." This is the first greeting that the resurrected Lord gave to his disciples. And from the reaction, I was looking on the television. From the reaction, there must be a really touch of the hearts. I think the beginning is very important because in the beginning, in the first words, the first decisions, you may see several things for the future, and I think his beginning has been very good.
Well, I'm going to ask you to speculate a little if you're comfortable doing so, and if you're not, please just tell me. But what do you think we can expect from Pope Leo XIV? Any speculation or hope about his might be his global agenda?
I think we can expect from him something which he has already said. A person who will build bridges, a person who will find the way to talk about peace and to promote peace, a person who may make a little more order in the church because sometimes we were spreading around here and there, asking ourselves what next. He has been a man of government because he has led a quite large order for 12 years. He's a man of government. He has been general of a congregation, but also is a missionary. So he left the center in order to go to the peripheries by using the words of Pope Francis. Is a man of the world. I know what does it mean to be superior general of a congregation because you needed to travel a lot, you needed to visit the communities, to be in touch with the members, to the local churches. He has an important curriculum, I would say, and he carries with him this experience. Yes.
Okay, is it your hope or maybe your expectation that, like the missionaries of the Precious Blood who minister to the marginalized, that the Pope will have an agenda affecting those who have been marginalized?
I think so, because even though his Prevost is not a Bergoglio, but is on the line of Bergoglio. And for me, this is important to say, because the same name, Leo XIV, is already a program. We know that Leo XIII has been the Pope who has promoted the social teaching of the Church, the Rerum Novarum, the importance to the workers, the importance to the poor, the importance to stay together with those who are near the others. Now, I want to make a joke. I am specialized, I have a master in church history, and my topic for my final exam was Leo XIII.
Oh.
And I remember some of the professors were smiling when I said Leo XIII because they were smiling, saying the communist pope. Now,
Okay.
let us clean the meaning of communist because it has to be cleaned. This what I say is that he will not forget those who are in the margins, but on the other hand, he will not forget also the others. And it is very interesting again to see the way he was dressing when he appeared on the loggia. He was wearing the traditional clothes of the Pope for a ceremonial event like that. So he was dressing like Benedict XVI, John Paul II, and the previous popes. But on the other hand, he was talking about building bridges, peace, coming from the south of the world, coming from a missionary territory. That is why I say it will be very interesting, this pontificate, because it will be a kind of a summary of being with the others, but at the same time to rebuild something inside the church itself. I think somehow I see him as a complete man in the sense that he may vary from different contexts, giving important messages.
What's your vision for the future of the Missionaries of the Precious Blood over the next decade or so?
We are in a time of studying how to be more effective in our ministry, and we are still in this process. Pope Francis used to say always that we are in a change of a time, a change of an era. And I see that it is not an era of changes, but is a change of an era, a time. I see that also among the missionaries of the precious blood. We really need to do a time of discernment to see how to reshape us in order to be more effective and more consistent and faithful to the message of St. Gaspar, the message of Blessed Giovanni Merlini, but also the world in which we are. So rooted in our charisma, but open to the world, open to the church and to the future. So we are. I see that we are in this moment now, and as you know, in September 2025 there will be the 22nd General Assembly. There will be delegates coming to Rome from the different areas where we are. Also, there will be some lay associates, some companions at the General Assembly because we really need to listen to each other in order to build something together.
Okay, okay. And speaking of that General Assembly, will there be any talk or any revelations you can provide our listeners about the growth or renewed interest in community or the future of the priesthood, globally? I know that we've there's an opportunity to improve or to increase vocations to the priesthood. So, what is your reaction to that, and how can the church address that issue?
In my experience, I see that the more we are faithful to our charisma and our spirituality, the more we can get the vocations. And we already established in the last General Assembly 2019 6 core values for us as missionaries of the precious blood, trying to touch the different areas and the different topics which have to do something with our lives. Conversion, mission to the marginalized, but also collaboration with the sisters of other congregations whose name is Precious Blood as well, lay associates or companion, whatever word we can use. Also the importance of taking care of the leadership and the communication and the growth of vocation. So we will foster these values in the coming General Assembly, and we will ask exactly the questions, Patrick, that you were asking to me. This is not an answer which can come only from Emanuele, because our congregation, thanking God, is not a dictatorship. But our congregation is a democracy, and I would say, as Pope Francis loved to say, is a synodality. And the delegates of the different areas where the congregation is, together with the invited guests that will come to the General Assembly in a synodal way, we will see what are the areas which we need to improve and how to be more faithful to our charisma in the world today. And as I said at the beginning of this answer, in my personal experience, vocations come when we are transparent and honest, and when we live according to our charisma and spirituality at the best. Because the gospel attracts the people. God continues to attract the people, and if we are in the same field of God, in the same line of God, for sure there will be vocations coming to us. And in that aspect, I think we need to improve more as missionaries of the precious blood worldwide.
Thank you for that answer, Father. I've just got two more brief questions for you. What do you think is the greatest spiritual challenge facing the church today, and how can we respond?
The courage of the witness. Sometimes I think that we are losing that aspect because we are becoming too much similar to the world. And the invitation which comes from Christ is to mark the difference. And on the difference, we can find the attraction. Because if we propose the same values which the world proposes, if we follow the same priorities, the same agenda which the world propose, what is the difference? I mean, why people will join us if they find in us the photocopy or even the worse copy of what they find outside of us? And I think this is one of the very centers of.
And if you could leave our listeners with one message today, what would it be, especially for those who are struggling with faith?
Not forget that Jesus has been crucified for us, and God has given His blood for each one of us. We are not forgotten people, but we are people loved by God, because if God decides to give His life for us, means that we are worthy something important, which is the same blood of Jesus.
And Father, may I ask you to offer a prayer to our listeners, especially for those who are struggling with hope?
The prayer which I want to offer is the prayer that may God send His Spirit upon us in order to enlighten our minds and hearts and open us to His love that is everlasting and change the world.
Thank you, Father. That was obviously very well said. We thank you for that prayer. Father Emanuele Lupi, I wish I could pronounce your name with the eloquence that you do. I know I'm probably butchering it a bit, but Father Emanuele Lupi, who's Moderator General of the Missionaries of the Precious Blood, thank you very much for being our guest today. It's been our pleasure. We've certainly enjoyed it. For those of you who'd like to learn more about our congregation, please visit us at preciousbloodus.org. And we're also on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Father, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your visit in the United States.
Thank you very much, Patrick, and many blessings to all those who are going to listen to this podcast.